2 Kings 14. King Amaziah of Judah. Amaziah, son of Joash, became king of Judah in the second year of Jehoash's rule in Israel. Amaziah was 25 years old when he became king, and he ruled 29 years from Jerusalem, which was also the hometown of his mother Jehoadin. Amaziah followed the example of his father Joash by obeying the Lord and doing right. But he was not as faithful as his ancestor David. Amaziah did not destroy the local shrines, and they were still used as places for offering sacrifices. As soon as Amaziah had control of Judah, he arrested and killed the officers who had murdered his father. But the children of those officers were not killed. The Lord had commanded the law of Moses that only the people who sinned were to be punished, not their parents or children. While Amaziah was king, he killed 10,000 Edomite soldiers in Salt Valley. He captured the town of Sela and renamed it Joktheel, which is still its name. One day, Amaziah sent a message to King Jehoash of Israel. "Come out and face me in battle." Jehoash sent back this reply: "Once upon a time, a small drum bush in Lebanon announced that his son was going to marry the daughter of a large cedar tree. But a wild animal came along and trampled the small bush. Amaziah, you think you're so powerful because you defeated Edom. Go ahead and celebrate, but stay at home. If we cause any trouble, both you and your kingdom of Judah will be destroyed." But Amaziah refused to listen. So Jehoash and his troops marched to the town of Beth Shemesh in Judah to attack Amaziah and his troops. During the battle, Judah's army was crushed. Every soldier from Judah ran back home, and Jehoash captured Amaziah. Jehoash then marched to Jerusalem and broke down the city wall from Ephraim Gate to Corner Gate, a section nearly 200 meters long. He took the gold and silver, as well as everything of value from the Lord's temple and the king's treasury. He took hostages, then returned to Samaria. Everything else Jehoash did while he was king, including his brave deed and how he defeated King Amaziah of Judah, is written in the history of kings of Israel. Jehoash died and was buried in Samaria beside the other Israelite kings. His son Jeroboam then became king. 15 years after Jehoash died, some people in Jerusalem plotted against Amaziah. He was able to escape to the town of Lachish, but another group of people caught him and killed him there. His body was taken back to Jerusalem on horseback and buried beside his ancestor. Everything else Amaziah did while he was king is written in the history of the king of Judah. After his death, the people of Judah made his son Azariah king. Even though he was only 16 at the time, Azariah was the one who later captured and rebuilt the town of Elath. King Jeroboam II of Israel. Jeroboam, son of Jehoash, became king of Israel in the 15th year of Amaziah's rule in Judah. Jeroboam ruled 41 years from Samaria. He disobeyed the Lord by following the evil example of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had caused the Israelites to sin. Jeroboam extended the boundaries of Israel from Reboh, Hamath in the north to the Dead Sea in the south, just as the Lord has promised. His servant Jonas, son of Amittai, who was a prophet from God's helper, the Lord helped Jeroboam do this because he had seen how terribly the Israelites were suffering, whether slave or free, and no one was left to help them. And since the Lord had promised that he would not let Israel be completely destroyed, he helped Jeroboam rescue them. Everything else Jeroboam did while he was king, including his brave deeds and how he recaptured the towns of Damascus and Hamath, is written in the history of the king of Israel. Jeroboam died and was buried, and his son Zechariah became king. 2 Kings 15. King Azariah of Judah. Azariah, son of Amaziah, became king of Judah in Jeroboam's 27 years as king of Israel. He was only 16 years old when he became king, and he ruled 52 years from Jerusalem, which was also the hometown of his mother Jecholiah. Azariah obeyed the Lord by doing right, as his father Amaziah had done, but Azariah did not destroy the local shrines, and they were still used as places for offering sacrifices. The Lord punished Azariah with leprosy for the rest of his life. He wasn't allowed to live in the royal palace, so his son Jotham lived there and ruled in his place. Everything else Azariah did while he was king is written in the history of the king of Judah. Azariah died and was buried beside his ancestors in Jerusalem. His son Jotham then became king. King Zechariah of Israel. Zechariah, son of Jeroboam, became king of Israel in the 38th year of Azariah's rule in Judah. But he ruled only 6 months from Samaria. Like his ancestors, Zechariah disobeyed the Lord by following the evil ways of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had caused the Israelites to sin. Shallum, son of Jabesh, plotted against Zechariah and killed him in public. Shallum then became king. So the Lord had kept his promise to Jehu that the next 4 kings of Israel would come from his family. Everything else Zechariah did while he was king is written in the history of the kings of Israel. King Shalom of Israel. Shalom became king of Israel in the 39th year of Azariah's rule in Judah, but only 1 month after Shalom became king. Menahem, son of Gadi, came to Samaria from Tirjar and killed him. Menahem then became king. The town of Tipasa would not surrender to him, so he destroyed it and all the surrounding towns as far as Tirjar. He killed everyone living in Tipsa, and with his sword he even ripped open pregnant women. Everything else Shalom did while he was king, including his plot against Zechariah, is written in the history of the kings of Israel. King Menahem of Israel. Menahem became king of Israel in Azariah's 39th year old as king of Judah, and he ruled Israel 10 years from Samaria. He constantly disobeyed the Lord by following the example of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had caused the Israelites to sin. During Menahem's rule, King Tiglath-Pileser of Syria invaded Israel. He agreed to help Menahem keep control of his kingdom if Menahem would pay him over 34 tons of silver. So Menahem ordered every rich person in Israel to give him at least 50 pieces of silver, and he gave it all to Tiglath-Pileser, who stopped his attack and left Israel. Everything else Menahem did while he was king is written in the history of the kings of Israel. Menahem died and his son Pekaliah became king. King Pekahiah of Israel. Pekahiah became king of Israel in the 50th year of Azariah's rule in Judah, and he ruled 2 years from Samaria. He disobeyed the Lord and caused the Israelites to sin, just as Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had done. Pekah, son of Remaliah, was Pekahiah's chief officer, but he made plans to kill the king. So he and 50 men from Gilead broke into the strongest part of the palace in Samaria and murdered Pekahiah together with Agab and Ariah. Pekah then became king. Everything else Pekahiah did while he was king is written in the history of the kings of Israel. King Pekah of Israel, Pekah son of Remaliah, became king of Israel in Azariah's 52nd years as king of Judah, and he ruled 20 years from Samaria. He disobeyed the Lord and followed the evil example of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had caused the Israelites to sin. During Pekah's rule, King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria marched into Israel. He captured the territories of Gilead and Galilee, including the town of Ijon, Abel, Beth-Mashka, Janoah, Kadesh, and Hazor, as well as the entire territory of Naphtali. Then he took Israelites from those regions to Assyria as prisoners. In the 20th year of Jotham's rule in Judah, Hosea, son of Elah, plotted against Pekah and murdered him. Hosea then became king of Israel. Everything else Pekah did while he was king is written in the history of the kings of Israel. King Jotham of Judah. Jotham, son of Azariah, became king of Judah in the second year of Pekah's rule in Israel. Jotham was 25 years old when he became king, and he ruled 16 years from Jerusalem. His mother, Jerusha, was the daughter of Zadok. Jotham followed the example of his father by obeying the Lord and doing right. It was Jotham who rebuilt the upper gate that led into the court around the Lord temple. But the local shrines were not destroyed, and they were still used as places for offering sacrifices. Everything else Jotham did while he was king is written in the history of the kings of Judah. During his rule, the Lord let King Rezin of Syria and King Pekah of Israel start attacking Judah. Jotham died and was buried beside his ancestors in Jerusalem, and his son Ahaz became king. 16. King Ahaz of Judah. Ahaz, son of Jotham, became king of Judah in the 17th year of Pekah's rule in Israel. He was 20 years old at the time, and he ruled from Jerusalem for 16 years. Ahaz wasn't like his ancestor David. Instead, he disobeyed the Lord and was even more sinful than the kings of Israel. He sacrificed his own son, which was a disgusting custom of the nations that the Lord had forced out of Israel. Ahaz offered sacrifices at the local shrines, as well as on every hill and in the shade of large trees. While Ahaz was ruling Judah, the king of Edom recaptured the town of Elath from Judah and forced out the people of Judah. Edomites then moved into Elath, and they still live there. About the same time, King Rezin of Syria and King Pekah of Israel marched to Jerusalem and attacked, but they could not capture it. Ahaz sent a message to King Tiglath-Pileser of Syria that said, "Your Majesty, King Rezin and King Pekah are attacking me. Your loyal servant, please come and rescue me." Along with the message, Ahaz sent silver and gold from the Lord temple and from the palace treasury as a gift for the Assyrian king. As soon as Tiglath-Pileser received the message, he and his troops marched to Syria. He captured the capital city of Damascus. Then he took the people living there to the town of Kir as prisoners and killed King Rezin. Later, Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, and while Ahaz was there, he saw an altar and sent a model of it back to Uriah the priest, along with the plans for building one. Uriah followed the plans and built an altar exactly like the one in Damascus, finishing it just before Ahaz came back. When Ahaz returned, he went to see the altar and to offer sacrifices on it. He walked up to the altar and poured the wine over it. Then he offered the sacrifices to please the Lord, to give him thanks, and to ask for his blessings. After that, he had the bronze altar moved aside, so his new altar would be right in front of the Lord's temple. He told Uriah the priest, "From now on, the morning and evening sacrifices as well as all gifts of grain and wine are to be offered on his altar. The sacrifices for the people and for the king must also be offered here. Sprinkle the blood from all the sacrifices on it, but leave the bronze altar for me to use for prayer and finding out what God wants me to do." Uriah did everything Ahaz told him. Ahaz also had the side panels and the small bowls taken off the movable stands in the Lord temple. He had the large bronze bowl called the sea removed from the bronze bowls on which it rested and had it placed on the stand made of stone. He took down the special tent and was used for worship on the Sabbath and closed up the private entrance that the kings of Judah used for going into the temple. He did all these things to please Tiglath-Pileser. Everything else Ahaz did while he was king is written in the history of the kings of Judah. Ahaz died and was buried beside his ancestor in Jerusalem, and his son Hezekiah became king.